Oh, it's good to have my tea back. Oh, I still haven't taken my wrist out. My wrist. I went to two-step dancing tonight, so had a good time. I had to get up in the morning for work though, so couldn't stay too long. And I can't stay here too long. But there's two things I was going back and forth about talking today, and that was one. Uh, Actually, Kobe Bryant's excitement for wanting to have the ball during the end of the game and how that's so much different than how we perceive normal people or normal players perceive the game of we need to win, we can't lose. It's almost like Kobe Bryant's attitude is, no, I want the ball because that's exciting. The last seconds, I want to be the one to shoot it because that's the most excitement I feel and the most alive I feel. That and the one I'm going to talk about today, which I know you guys probably would and would rather me talk about Kobe Bryant, but I'm going to talk about coincidences. And I don't really know where I'm going to go with this or where this is going to go, but I wanted to talk about it. Because what I'm noticing, at least in my life, ever since, let's say, August, whenever I started really seeing the world and really appreciating and finding the joy in life and joy in the universe itself, I've been seeing and experiencing a lot of coincidences. Things that just, I'm like, huh, that's kind of weird. And it's not just me, it's other people as well. We'll do the first example, the one that's just what I've seen. So I go to the sauna pretty regularly at my gym. Uh, there's a lot of times where I go home because I want to do the sauna. So I would say like 2 to 3 times a week I go to the sauna, and I've been doing this pretty regularly for September, September, or November, December. No, September, October, November, December. So 4 months. Do the multiplication. But in all that time, I don't put earphones in. I don't look at my phone. I just watch people and I see people's phones. And in that whole time, I've never seen someone with a quote on their phone, let alone a quote from the Bible on their phone. And I have, in all that time, today has been the first time someone has actually talked to me. And yeah, coincidence. People talk to you all the time. People have quotes. Oh, it's on the phone all the time. But it's really weird. So I'm in the sauna, and I usually do 20 minutes, and I'm next to this kid, and who's high school, all, and he's kind of the same as me. Doesn't wear earphones, and he's just doing it. So his timer goes off, and we're like 18 minutes in, and he looks at it, and he just stares at it. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what he's doing. And because afterwards he just let the timer ring, and then it faded away, or it didn't fade away, it stopped. And a minute afterwards, I'm like, ah, I know what he did. He's in competition with me. He wants to be in here longer than I am. Which for me, I love being in the sauna, so it's not really a competition. I just love being in there. So I was planning on doing 25 minutes anyway, so my 20 minutes it's put went off. So I put 5 minutes on there. And like literally like a couple minutes afterwards he looks at me, he's like, hey, how long are you gonna stay in here? look at my phone. Say 15 seconds. It's just that's it. And he's like, okay. I look at him like, you want to do 5 more? And he looks at his phone. He's like, just till 7:30. It was 7:26. And on his phone was a quote. And I love quotes. I put a quote up every day for my Twitter. And because there's at the end of 365 days of doing it, I want to do a quote book, 365 days each day with a quote and explain it. So I'm absolutely interested in quotes. I see the quote on his phone and I see some numbers and I think it's from the Bible. So I asked, "Hey, can I look at your phone?" I look at his phone and it's a quote from the Bible. And it's pretty much saying, and I don't know the exact words, but it's saying God God doesn't help those who don't help themselves. But what I found really interesting was that it was from the book of Matthew, and Matthew's my name. So at, you can take the skeptic route from it, the skeptic perspective, absolutely, because I do live in uh, a town that's highly religious. I mean, I would say a state, Texas, which is highly religious, has a high population of Christianities. My town, specifically, it has a high amount of Christians as well. It's next to a high school, so of course, there's going to be young, impressionable, high school students who are gonna want to look at, want to take lessons from the Bible. But for the reasons I told you before, for me being in the sauna consistently and not seeing a quote from the Bible on anyone else's phone, on for or being in the sauna consistently, having no one actually literally talk to me before in the sauna, it feels it's weird. It's not something I think you can reason out. You could say something like the probability, a bunch of probabilities came together, and you were are lucky within your probability, the random probabilities, and that's valid. That's valid. I can see you can take the skeptic argument, and I can see that's valid. For me, there seems to be something more connected to that. At least in the way that since I've been more observant in my surroundings ever since I've kind of, it sounds weird, accepted life. I've as it is, in that I'm gonna die. I am finding joy in it. I've been more observant in my surroundings. So, I think that to do has something to do with it as well. And that since I'm more observant of my surroundings and I'm more observant of life, I see these signs of life and these random probabilities more than other people. I could see that happening too. But there's another situation that happened like 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. That was just as interesting too. We, my family and I went to like Buchanan to just, as you know, kind of like late day. It was the weekend. I think it was Saturday, and we were out on a picnic bench right next to the lake, and just on the whim, because I was reading Tools of Titans, and they had spirit animals for each person that Tim Ferriss interviewed. He asked, "What's your spirit animal?" And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of interested. So I asked my family, "Hey, what's your spirit animal?" And they say this, that. They get to me, and I say, "A dragonfly." And everyone starts laughing. And they say, "The dragonfly ain't an animal." It's like, course it's an animal, but for them it's like you need to have like a go a or something that's more animal-y, something like that. And they were giving me mad crap about this. And at the end of the day, I say, whatever. Or otter. I'm the gopher. Because I'm weird, you know? But I still stuck by that my spirit animal was a dragonfly. Well, Tuesday comes along that week, and I'm helping my mom in the backyard. Um, just planting plants, moving and rocks and stuff like that. And a swarm of dragonflies starts, I don't know, just playing outside of our little wrought iron gate. And there was 50 to 100 of them. Maybe not 100. I would say 50. Yeah. So let's say 25 to 50 of them in a swarm outside of our gate, just are flying around and everything. And my mom just looks at it, and she's not superstitious at all. And she's just like, oh, like, what the heck is happening? Like, we literally just talked about it this weekend, and now now there's a swarm of dragonflies just flying for you. For me, I didn't say anything because I didn't need to say anything. I have no reason and for that happening. I don't know why it's happening. For me, it was just appreciating the sight of just all these dragonflies that I represent as my spirit animal, as something that's I value. Maybe not as my values, but I value as a metaphorical representation of my life and my personality, actually coming to fruition in the physical realm. And you know what? I can't explain it because one thing is just like with the phone and the quote. I don't see dragonflies a lot in our backyard. We do see them in the on the lake. I see them all the time on the lake, but in our backyard, I mean, you have the normal like the cardinals, the birds. I see deer. I see everything, and I spend a lot of time in the backyard. I like sitting out on uh, our porch and just looking out. So just see this, and then all the hikes we've done on through um our backyard, all right, and through our neighborhood as well. And this is in right next to a lake, so it's not heavily populated. It still has a community and neighborhood around it, but not heavily populated. But just a never in my time in the last 3 years, aside from have I seen that many dragonflies in one place? And not in like 3 years have I seen the only place is I've seen two or three dragonflies at a time was near the lake whenever I was paddling. And that's partly the reason why I called it my spirit animal is I kayak onto these coves and the dragonflies would land right on top of my leg and I would just see them and then they would fly off. I went off. But not in the 3 years have I seen something like that. And for it to happen days after we talked about it too, in the very least, it's interesting. And I could probably explain it through science. Like if we had biologists They could probably explain the behavior, why they were there. They would probably, if I looked it up, they would probably in mass mating season. It was probably the right time for mating. Um, there's multiple different explanations I probably could find, research, and come up with that could try to explain that phenomenon, and I could use it as evidence to convince myself of those perspectives. But here's the thing about coincidences is at the end of the day, the weirdest coincidences and most unique coincidences are hard to explain. And no amount of evidence can say for certain why something has happened or why coincidences such as these happen. And I guess that's why where a lot of religions like to sneak in because as there's some things that are unconvincing in science that people will say, well, if they can't explain this, then and why do we need science? I'm not a science denier. I believe in science wholeheartedly in its tenets as well. But that's just as my thinking of what a a um, a non-science believer would think in circumstances of coincidences. But for me, too, I want to be more. I want to continue to be observant of my surroundings and see if I notice any other coincidences that are happening ever since my joyous awakening. I don't know in August because it's just too weird for me to just brush aside, almost as if the universe itself is kind of divine in a sense. Not necessarily that there's a this thing called a god and that we can represent it in any symbols or concepts, but more like the Tao, sorry, in Taoism, that infinite and divinity that can never be explained. Of course, ours I'm trying to figure that out with science as well, trying to explain it through all the great minds that have been scientists and are scientists and have done the great research of understanding our universe and how it works, and me trying to piece it together. So, but even if even if we find explanations for almost everything in the universe, as there, like Carl Sagan and Richard Feynman talk about, there is still that like divine quality of the universe just based on its complexity and its awe. And I think, and even though I'm gonna continue philosophizing and continue trying to find at least my answers that I'm gonna stick with. Not the certain answers or not the true answers, because I don't think we can ever or truly get to that point. But my answers, I still it, in the end of the day, it's just how you perceive what you would like to perceive coincidences as, right? I and it's important to understand that it's not uh, what is true, but is what you believe is true. Because that's once you start asking that question and you start seeing that in other human beings, you start to see how people can rewire their brains and their perspectives to believe in different truths. And once you believe, understand that, then you can start are digging at the roots of it and planting new seeds as well. Like Daryl Davis, look him up. He's awesome. Kind of how Daryl Davis is unroots KKK members' beliefs and plants as new seeds in their for their beliefs. I'm not going to get into that because I'm already 20 minutes in. So, but I kind of that's kind of what I want to talk about today: dragonflies and Bible quotes and coincidences. Anyways, I'm going to go to bed. It's nice talking to y'all, and I will see you tomorrow.